Hey, welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we're talking about The Darkest Files. Happy Friday, my name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
I'm hammering home that Friday thing. It's a Fry-yay is what it is.
Do people say that anymore?
I don't know.
Do respectable people say that anymore?
No one respectable.
Okay.
No one respectable does.
Just
That's why it's
sure.
me. I'm one of those people that, like, I've come full circle where, like, you know, you get those people that you work with that would send, like, those memes and stuff, and, like, they didn't send them ironically, like, Happy Monday and stuff, you know, it's like those people. But I've come full circle where I now send those to all of my office compatriots, like, ironically, because I'm doing it to specifically annoy people.
Yeah, that feels like you energy for sure.
But now, you know, I think about it and I'm like, I bet you there are several folks in my department that don't know me well enough and probably think that I'm sending it unironically. And I probably really do mean Happy Friday when I send it. So,
and also that you really do think, or you really do hate Mondays as much as Garfield does from all the Garfield memes you're sending on Monday.
He's always drinking a cup of coffee, you know, and his eyes are red, you know, in all of them. So it is what it is.
And you're still sending those like dumpster fire memes to everybody. Like, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Every day of my life. Because that's what my life feels like half the time. It's one of those. That's me in
parenthood.
That picture. I'm the dog.
Game start!
Hey, let's talk about our topic for today. This is The Darkest Files, released March 25th, 2025, developed and published by Paint Bucket Games, retails for $19.99. And to give you some info on it, this is a historical investigation and courtroom game set in post-World War II Germany. So you are, as the player, playing as this character, Esther Katz, who is a new young prosecutor, new to this firm that she gets hired at. And your job is to investigate and prosecute unsolved crimes that were perpetrated by the Nazis while working under this guy, the head of this law office, Dr. Fritz Bauer, who this guy was a real life Jewish prosecutor and then later judge during that era, which is like super interesting. Like I had to like go and look up like info about this guy because I was like, oh man, I did not realize that. Maybe I should have known. That's part of my, you know, our American history classes at work that I didn't know who this guy was. So
this game is also history class. You have to do studying to. Okay, interesting.
This isn't like history lesson things. You can take history lessons from it yourself. But this is more like you are looking at actual crimes that happened. All the names of everything has been changed. Maybe some of the names of like places might be tweaked a little bit. Names definitely changed aside from Dr. Fritz Bauer. But yeah, these are actual crimes that took place. So like everything, every case file, everything that you read, this all happened to somebody. So, I mean, man, I'll get into that in a little bit. But just talking about like the mechanics of it real quick before I get into like that part of it and how heavy some of that gets. So most of this, from what I experienced, is like it takes place in the office that you're in. So you go in, there's other like people working there, like your front desk staff. There's other prosecutors there. There's Dr. Fritz Bauer that's there. But your job, basically, your like day to day in there is you take on cases. And when you do that, you read the files and you look at the evidence. That is extensive. This is not an Ace Attorney investigation where you're going to a crime scene thing. You're in the parking lot. You're looking at the chalk outline of the body. There's not goofy characters with jokes and stuff. This feels a lot like a prosecuting attorney sim or something. There's stuff to read, and it's not like extensive, but you might have a few pages and things like that.
I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to think how to word this. How is it fun? Like, did you have fun playing this game? That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, I did. And
okay.
I'll get to that point too. So like, you're reading this stuff, and then there are, so that's like the kind of stuff you start with. Like, you start with a case file. And it's basically like, somebody has reported this crime. This thing happened. The first one that you started with in like the beginning was kind of like this woman who said, these guys came to her house. They took her husband away. She never saw him again. His body was found days later. She tried to have this prosecuted before the war had ended. It got dismissed. You were now taking this case and you were trying to get to the truth. You're trying to prosecute this. You're trying to bring justice to the people that killed this woman's husband, right? This is heavy stuff. So like trigger warning to people like this, there's some heavy stuff in this game. So you have that stuff, from that case file already. So you can read through all that. You can read through her testimony and everything. But you also have to, find new evidence, talk to witnesses and stuff. And that is where like things get really interesting is when you call a witness in, you go into the conference room, you start talking to them, and you're selecting like the certain types of like questions and stuff. This is where I was getting real mad at this one part in a fun way, which sounds weird. Here's the thing. You are a young female prosecutor, right? Just put yourself in that position real quick. You were talking to a guy that was a Nazi, and you have dialogue choices and stuff, and they are saying certain things to you. Just imagine, what someone like that might say to a young female prosecutor who also happens to be Jewish. They make snide comments and things like that. And you are allowed to react in different ways. But you are kind of burdened with this sense of if you react a specific way, they might not cooperate, in a way that, you need to pull information from them, right? Even like me, I was getting so angry at this dude and I wanted to tell this guy off, but still I'm having to like grit my teeth and be like, oh yeah, sure, haha. So let's talk about this thing. Let's talk about what happened this day, even though I just want to reach across the desk and punch this guy in his freaking face. So that was really interesting. And when you were talking to them, let's say about like the day this guy died, this guy's not hiding the fact that, yeah, this guy died here, but I'm not the one that killed him. It was this other guy that I was with and I saw it. As he's talking about it, you go into his memory, essentially, and you're seeing everything take place. You can move around in this space. You can look at different objects, and selecting different things will prompt you to ask other questions. So you're kind of in charge of selecting, well, how far do I want to probe on these certain things? Off topic on asking these things, will I get more information from it, or will it kind of lead the conversation astray? Like you have to play this balance the entire time. One, controlling like sort of the anger of yourself as this player funneled through this character. And two, like playing the role just as the investigator, trying to get the information that you need out of this guy, trying to get them to cooperate and everything. So with that said, it's very, very, very interesting. And I actually got a lot of enjoyment out of that. And then it's like, once you get that, there's multiple witnesses and stuff that you'll have to talk to. And they're going to have, because they are who they are. They're not completely reliable, obviously. There's going to be inconsistencies and stuff. So you really have to analyze the inconsistencies between like what they're saying versus like things on paper, like what evidence you have. Do you have photographs of things? And you kind of have to create your own theory out of everything, all the knowledge and everything that you've gathered. You go into this mode where you're kind of reconstructing the crime scene like on a blueprint to understand the sequence of events. So there's like different steps to the event that leads up to like this guy's death. So you're kind of like figuring out, okay, who was where when this happened? Who said what? And you're placing them literally like markers on this blueprint of the place that they're in. And it's like you're having to use all the evidence, all the statements and everything to kind of do that. And then you have to prepare your court case, essentially, because you're going to have to go to the courtroom and present your evidence. And you can't just say, well, this witness said this, and that is your evidence. It's like, it has to all be corroborated somehow. So like, this person said this is backed up by this being in this document that was given by this commanding officer on this date. And, all of those things line up together that this has to be fact because of it. So that happens. You cross-examine witnesses during the court proceedings, and you will have to challenge what they say and back that up with evidence to get the truth out of them. And in that case, that part, it is a little bit like Ace Attorney because you have to do that. It's just not like over-the-top ridiculous stuff like, those games do. With that, too, you have to decide what evidence to present and when, what questions to ask, because that will influence the outcome of the trial. Like, there's no bumpers leading you down a must-win situation. You can lose the trial, and it's not like game over. You lose the trial, and then you move on to the next case. So it really takes the kid gloves off in that kind of situation. But I found it incredibly fascinating.
So where was the fun again? No, I just listen. So
yeah.
Let me go back to what you were saying about like you're the prosecutor, the main character, the female prosecutor, and you are talking to that former Nazi, and he is delivering whatever sort of like berating comments towards you.
Yeah, it kind of goads you. Yeah.
Sure. But is there a timer on the response that you can give? And two, is there ever a reason why you would want to give a negative response in that way? I'm just saying, like, what are the stakes that would cause you to actually ever choose the wrong answer,
I don't know that there is a right or wrong answer at any point. So there is no timer or anything. But it's like, no matter what, like, whatever you choose could have some kind of consequence to it. This game specifically deals a lot in the morally gray with a lot of these things. So there's not always a right or wrong. It's kind of a case here where it's like, would it be like morally, would it be better to put this guy in his place? Probably, but will he still cooperate if we do that? Probably not. He might clam up and we might not get all the info we want out of him. So it's kind of like one of those where you have to really weigh the possible consequences of everything you do and say when you have conversations with these witnesses and stuff. So from that standpoint, like, as someone that really loves having agency in the progression of a story and everything, like, I really enjoy that.
Well, these are all like real cases, you said, right? So there is like a finite number of things. It's not like any randomized kind of deals. I'm just thinking about like replayability wise, like would there be any replayability to this, or is it like once you solve the case, you just know the answer from that point forward?
My thought process along this, because I've been thinking about that too, is that there's because there is the possibility that you'll lose some of these cases, right? Mm-hmm. And there's also the possibility that you won't get all of the evidence depending on like some of your choices and stuff. So there might be things that you miss. There might be ways that you go about getting some of the evidence and stuff differently. There might be witnesses that you don't get stuff from. So I think that there's different avenues that you can come from to possibly get to a similar conclusion or a different conclusion based on how things go with like the court trials and everything. So from that standpoint, I would say, is there replayability? Yes. Is it going to be the most intriguing replayable game? I don't think so, but it's there. I think it's one of those cases of like, if you failed one of your cases or a couple cases in your run of the game, and you're just like, man, that really bugs me. Like, I want to see like, how do you solve that case? Like, I want to get a perfect run. I want to like get all of those cases, just nail it. Then I can see you going back and like trying again and trying to see where you went wrong and trying to like come out the other side with that. That's where I see that coming through.
What would happen if you failed every case? Like, is there like a game over situation?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Because I have not finished the game.
I'm just trying to think about it from all angles.
One thing I want to add on this too is aside from this, there is some overarching other stuff going on as well, aside from like doing just the cases and stuff. So like, you start getting through this first case, right? You talk to the one witness who is like, I talked at length kind of about that. You come back to your desk. you have a note on your desk that is like threatening your life, and it's got swastikas drawn on it and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, you know, so there's like also like a personal threat against you as the character. So whatever that entails, I don't know just yet, but that is also intriguing. There's a few other things, like someone also calls you at some point and says like, hey, you can't trust anything that guy just told you. If I can give you sort of a genre that gives you like a little bit more of an idea of what this game is like, it's very noir, very crime noir in that kind of feeling. And also like as you're playing the game too, like visually, it feels that way too, like in look and everything. It's not black and white. It's more of like a kind of like bluish gray in that way, but also pulls from like that pulp comic book kind of style where it's got like all of the instead of going like straight shadows and everything, it does like the dots and everything. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like what is it? Is it like Ben-Day dots or something?
Yeah. I can't remember the name. It's been so long since I studied that in school, but yeah. So it's pretty interesting. There's also some sort of story too going on where like your father, who I think from context clues, I think is also running some other law office, is obviously trying to get you to quit and go work for him, and kind of is just like alluding to the fact that like, oh, you know, think about your image. Like people don't like Dr. Fritz Bauer. You know, he's like one of those things. He's one of them. Very strongly hitting to the point in like, there's things in history that kind of allude to the idea that Bauer might have been gay or something. So kind of like that disapproval from like your own father in that way. And, you know, dealing with sort of the bigotry within the game world. Also, the idea, too, that the German public was very, very against the idea of these prosecutions and stuff at that time. So, like, everything was very controversial, and it feels that way when you're playing it and in this game. Like, you feel like you're the outsider, like the underdog, really having to do everything to bring justice for the victims and everything. So, it's very, very well done in that way.
So it's like a more serious Ace Attorney, essentially. If
Yes.
you want like a serious, true to life Ace Attorney, there you go.
Absolutely. It's a game I would love to spend some more time in, for sure. But personally, at the moment, based on like current stressors and things, I don't think I can spend more time in it at the moment. Like I talked about, like, you know, I was trying to give it like a little bit of a trigger warning for folks before they go and play this game. Especially right now in specific political climates, I think that this is a game that tells stories that are extremely important to hear and very important to know. But like, it isn't for everyone, and it isn't for like, you have to steel yourself a little bit, especially like, you know, knowing the idea that these things happen to real people. So like, one, I don't think I've ever experienced a game that does that, at least not to this extent. And I very, very much appreciate that. It's just one of those things that like, you have to be in the right headspace, man, to really play a game like this.
So if you like true crime stuff, but want to live true crime stuff or play through it, there you go.
Yeah. You know, if you're one of those people that like really likes those true crime podcasts and stuff, like, man, I think this is the game for you. You'll jump right in and you'll love it. I know several folks that are going to absolutely love this game. But like, for me, it's just like, I feel like I don't have the heart to keep going, at least right now. I think it's like, I need some time removed for a little bit before I can hop back in. But like the mechanics of it, though, I really did enjoy, and I seriously think it is very important. It's a very important game, and I love what this developer is doing. It's just going to be sitting in my backlog for a little bit.
Right on. I will listen to your feedback on it because I don't think it's one that I would touch. But I also like don't play the Ace Attorney games, even though that's much more whimsical and up my alley. It's just not the style of game that I play.
Those are like so goofy. It's like that makes crime fun and funny somehow.
Yeah. And I gotta date that clown girl someday.
It's great when crime can just be so fun and goofy, you know, when they make murder just such a fun time.
Maybe just have a back and forth, like what, like play this for
exactly.
a little while, then to cleanse your palate, go play Ace Attorney, then come back to this. It's just a back and forth.
Yeah, one case of Darkest Files, one case of Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Objection. Yeah. Do it.
Objection. I'm curious, though, from your standpoint, because like I know that these are the kind of games that you don't have like a vested interest in, but like, is there, and I'm not saying like this game specifically, but like the type of genre, like the detective kind of game, the sort of, even if it's like, I don't even want to say a court procedural, so I'll just say detective kind of game. Is there like some twist on it that you think would hook you and like get you interested into trying some version of a game like that?
Poof. I think as I'm thinking about it, the only thing that would probably get me to play a game like that was if it wasn't mechanically like that. And what I mean is, like, if it were a grid-based tactical RPG where it's like, I am solving this case by using some form of like simulated combat in order to... What is the game
That's
where
interesting.
It's a roguelike, but you can also fight with like speech stuff? Oh man, I cannot remember the name of it, but you know what I'm talking about. And I think that in like a courtroom setting would be the ideal way that I would want to play a game like this, because even though that is turn-based, it's still like I'm seeing numbers, I'm seeing action, I'm getting abilities that power things up. I think there's something there, and maybe this is a game that I'll just make at some point because I don't think it exists, but I think there's a format there that would appeal to me and make me interested in the core courtroom case thing if it had different mechanics to it. So I think it's less about the idea of the game. I respect the idea. I respect the team that built it. I think it's very interesting for what it is, but it's mechanically is what the mechanics of a game are what draws me to them. And I happen to like a certain set of mechanics that these games don't generally lean into. So I think that's what would really like sway me.
And no Death of Sonic the Hedgehog? You're not going to play that one?
I'd have to see like what it looks like mechanically again, just because if it's too much reading, I'll just start falling asleep.
Reading make you sleepy.
Reading make me sleepy when I'm trying to play a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually when I'm trying to play a game, I just need some like, I want it because I need something tactile. I need something that I am able to, that's using my reflexes in some way and keeping my mind sharp and my reflexes sharp against like whatever is thrown at me. That's the kind of thing that I enjoy when it comes to a game. Or if it's like a deck builder, then that's keeping me like strategizing about something. And I don't know, there's just certain things that are appealing to me about gaming, and that's why it's challenging for me to ever jump over to something like in a cozier sense. I know this isn't a cozy game per se as far as the subject matter goes, but gameplay wise, like it's got that sort of simplified style to it that not super my thing.
And we talked about this a lot, like outside of the podcast lately, was like our varying gaming styles and stuff. And we sort of like, we tried a quiz to like kind of profile our gaming. It did terribly.
Oh, so that was a terrible quiz.
So then we basically created one.
And it was much better.
Redid it. Yeah. And you're very like reflex responsive focused as far as
challenge
your games.
Focused. Like if
challenge focused.
I want a game to be hard enough to really push me to my limit, because then overcoming that challenge is one of the most satisfying things in the world to me.
Right. Where mine was very experience focused. And it was very much about like where the game can take my mind and my imagination rather than like a challenge and everything. Though, like, you know, I like you, and we have a lot of crossover here with like roguelike deck builders and some just straight up roguelikes, you know, themselves. I very much enjoy those. I think roguelike deck builders probably my favorite genre at the moment.
But I also think that like even within the roguelike genre itself, as I've been mentioning, lean more into the action roguelike side of things.
Definitely.
Because of the reflex aspect of it. And honestly, it really depends on like how much time I have in a day. If I start something in the morning, then that's when I can play like a deck building type thing, because it's like I've got time, I can chill, I feel like I can take my time to get through something. If I want something fast and like reflex heavy, because it's later in the day and I just want to do something before I like turn in, then that's where those kind of games come in, because I can get through runs quicker.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. I found the game that I was talking about. Griftlands. Look that up real quick. That is the one that has like you can fight, but you can also like fight, or there's an element of it where you're fighting with like speech, and it's like a negotiation back and forth.
Okay.
And that's what I'm talking about, like, as far as court case stuff goes. I think that would be a very interesting approach to that. I don't know how it would work exactly, but again, that's what would draw me into something like that. So check out Griftlands if you haven't. That is a really cool game.
We'll figure that out. We're always like creating game ideas and stuff. So
yeah, ideas. We got to start creating games,
we'll get there.
Which I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
I'm learning coding.
You're coding right now. So
as we speak. Yeah. What are we talking about again?
Yeah,
Games?
I don't know.
Oh, crap.
Combo!
So let's talk about other games that we've been playing this week, and we'll just widen that gap between our play styles real quick when I talk about Squirreled Away, which which released on March 28th. This is a cozy squirrel survival sim.
Oh, boy.
Where you play as a squirrel. Dude, first of all, this game is gorgeous. This game looks beautiful. Second, before you start hating, being a squirrel is fun as shit. It is so, like, just even the way the little guy runs, it is so fun. He's so cute. Anyway, in this game, you're running around, you collect items, you craft tools, you meditate, and you're helping other squirrels, other animals and stuff. And you also build a tree house up in the trees and everything. It's a fun, goofy little game. And you also try not to get eaten by a bulldog. So there's that aspect of it. But like, you know, it's not a serious game. It's just for fun. It's goofy. It's something that I think kids would also enjoy. But like, dude, I was having a blast playing this. And there's a porcupine in there named King Needlenose that I couldn't get to because the demo blocked me off from it, and I got very upset because I really wanted to meet King Needlenose. Anyway, this is the one game that I was able to actually record this week and put up on our YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. I recorded myself playing The Darkest Files, but something goofed and none of the sound recorded, and like that just wouldn't be fun because there is a lot of like voiceover in that. So that would have been kind of pointless, and I didn't want to just play it all over again. So all you get is Squirreled Away. That's it. So enjoy the squirrels this week. It's nuts.
Oh. I'm looking at it.
If you're wondering how many times I make that joke during my Let's Play, the answer is a lot. All right.
In case you need reason not to watch that Let's Play, there you go.
Whatever.
No, I mean, it reminds me visually, at least, of like a Mario kind of 3D platformer thing.
Yeah.
Mario 64 or whatnot. But it's labeled as a like cute, cozy, relaxing thing, which is interesting since you were trying to survive and not be eaten by a bulldog. The relaxing part, I guess, like, how big is the threat of you dying, getting eaten? I see hearts,
not too,
so you
not
have
too
health
bad.
and stuff.
Like, you don't like, if you die, you just like, it's not like death. It basically, you just show up at one of the many like meditation shrines.
You just respawn and you're a hollowed squirrel and you have to go retrieve your corpse so you can get your souls back.
You gotta get your nuts back.
Familiar. Actually, you know what? A squirrel-based Souls-like game would actually be amazing.
Bro, we were talking about on our other podcast, you remember, we were talking about wanting to build a cute Souls-like, and we were trying to figure out, what animal do we do? I think we figured it out. I think it's a squirrel.
There it is. Squirrels-like.
Right. I'll start working on a squirrel-like. Yeah, we'll start working on the plot for this.
We'll workshop the name. Squirrel Souls? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, a nuts-like?
Oh, a nuts-like. Well, the souls have to be nuts for sure. Sorry, now I'm workshopping in my head. Yeah,
absolutely. They are nuts.
Okay. That's concrete. Everything else still adjustable. Okay. So
yes.
Me, I played another game that we talked about last week, which is Reignbreaker, because, it looks like one that was right up my alley as an action roguelike, of course. And so I just wanted to check it out, see how it was. I liked it a lot, actually, and I'm pretty much done with it. I've 100%ed it in the sense that I've done everything that I want to do in it The only thing that I haven't done is like get all the little achievements, but I don't care as much about like really finalizing all that. You have to beat it 6 times to really get the full sort of like, I don't know, story from it. So it's not like, I think with Hades, it's like 10 plus times or something you have to beat it. I'm not sure. So it's a more toned down version of that. But I think that like talking about adding on to what you were talking about last week when talking about this game, I know that you said like after you beat a boss, like you start over and then you go and you have to like beat that same boss again or whatever. But the way that it actually works is once you beat the first couple bosses and actually get to the like the Dark Queen, what it was, I can't even remember.
The
like
Queen of Keys.
Queen of Keys, that's what it was. Yeah. Once you get to her, then it's just a full run. Like it's not one boss at a time. You start over every single time. It's like you're going through a full run once you hit that point. So after you beat the first 2 bosses, so your first 2 victories, then 3 plus becomes you have to beat the first 2 bosses again, and then you fight the Queen of Keys after that. So so there's a lot more to it. It becomes more similar to Hades in that way after you beat it a couple times. And that's when you really kind of stretch it out and become like a full run type thing where you're picking up different items. You are trying to RNG willing, get your build around a certain sort of mechanic. The way that the gods in this game work are sort of henchmen of the Queen of Keys. And in that way, you're kind of collecting their powers and you can collect these power ups that let you get like preferential sort of randomization of their items specifically. If you want to go like towards a specific sort of henchman power. Yeah. And that's where it starts to really allow you a lot of customization in what you're trying to do with your build, like a bleed build or a staff specific, a lance specific build, things like that, where you're just really powering up a certain aspect of it. And I think like that, again, is very important if you really want to survive up until the end, because after you beat it, the, 3rd time or whatever, like it's when it starts to become like really sort of like it can be really kind of crushing once you start getting towards the Queen of Keys if you don't have the right abilities to back you up. So I had a lot of fun with it. I did beat it all, but overall that took me about 13 hours, I think, in total to get all 6 victories in, because there were a lot of losses in there too. But I learned a lot as I went through it, and I feel a lot more confident in that combat. I enjoyed it. It was very smooth. The only thing I will say is the same that you experienced in the video I watched of you playing it was there's that choppiness to it. It's not lag, but there's a choppiness to it that's not. It's not a frame rate drop, because I was watching my frame rate as it was happening. It's just like a visual lag or visual choppiness that happens when you're entering certain areas. It does not affect the combat in any way that I've seen, at least. It's just sometimes when you enter a new area, I think some textures or something might be caching in a way that's like making it like chop up a little bit. So performance wise, that was the only hiccup I experienced. I'm running on a 4090, so it's like, and it was running at 120 like straight the whole time, or capped it at 120. So again, it's not like affecting your frame rate. It's just like a visual choppiness that occurs every once in a while. So that was the only thing I really ran into. I didn't have any crashes or anything. I got through the whole game, had a good time with it. So I definitely recommend it if you liked Hades. And again, like the studio that made this is closing down now that they have made this game. I think there's going to be a little bit of support after the fact, but there won't be like an expansion of it or anything.
Yeah, no DLCs and stuff.
What you have here is what you get.
Sure. But I mean, that like might solidify it a little bit as like kind of a, I don't know, like a little bit of a small phenomenon in like the genre, because we know that this is just it. Like there won't be anything else to it.
Yeah, like no follow up.
Yeah, because sometimes you get a DLC and the DLC sucks, and then it kind of tarnishes the legacy of something. So
true. And this is very positively rated on Steam right now. It's visually very pretty to look at. The gameplay runs very smoothly as long as, you're not hitting those choppy points, which are few and far between. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it.
You were talking about like, the more you play, the more confidence you got in it. Let me tell you about a game where the more I played, the less confident I felt. This was Order 13. This was given to us by the dev that created it. This game's freaking terrifying. So in this game, you live in a like a retail warehouse with your cat. Your cat is named Supervisor. You have a job where you have to complete orders, ship those orders out in the little compartment you live in. You kind of live in like that little, almost like one of those little compartments where like a shipping truck would like pull up to it and, you know, stuff would go on the conveyor belt and like go out and stuff. But you're like actually living in that thing with your cat. You got your computer in there. You've got your bed in there, all kinds of stuff. But like to complete the orders and everything, so you go on your computer, you accept an order, you get like the label. It tells you where in the warehouse the like the aisle and everything, and you need a code to unlock it from the gate to get it, right? But like you go out there, man, there is some Silent Hill shit going on out there, and oh God, it sucks. It's so scary. And also, like the longer that you are out in the warehouse, your cat's happiness is ticking down. If your cat gets to 0, it's game over. So that's kind of like the timer, essentially, that it puts you on. There are like items and upgrades and stuff to kind of help you in the process. So like as you complete orders, you earn more money. But again, like, you know, obviously the more orders that you do in a night, you know, you've got the cat's happiness level, supervisor's happiness is going down. So you have to kind of balance that stuff. But you earn money. You can buy upgrades for yourself, either like a scanner to kind of make the job go quicker, where it tells you like the code for the things to unlock, so you don't have to like memorize it. It'll tell you like, also it'll have like the where to find it like right on there. So again, you don't have to memorize. You can figure out where to go really quickly. You can get stuff for the cat, like to make her maximum happiness go up, to give you more time each day, or food, where if you come back and the happiness is ticked down so much, you give her some food and you'll get a little bit back. So there's like different things you can do to mitigate some of that stuff. But like each night that you go out, like things get increasingly worse out in the warehouse. Like the first night you go out, like the only weird thing I saw was like there was like some body parts like on the ground, like some severed limbs. The next night it's like I walked by and there's like a like cart with like a severed torso and like pieces sticking out, and you're hearing whispers and stuff, and you're like, oh man. And then like later you go out and like you see something like on all fours like crawl across like just outside the field of your vision. You're like, no, this sucks. Like by the time you're getting towards like in-game stuff, like there's full-on creatures roaming around that you are like having to dodge and like hide from and everything to like keep fulfilling these orders. There is an end game in mind, like essentially there is a door, an exit door, but you have to find the code to unlock that door. And it's like, where the hell is this thing? Like, I know where it is, but I don't want to ruin it for everybody. But like the journey to get that code, oh God. So, I don't know, man, if you like peeing your pants, this is a cool game to play. If you want to be terrified the entire time you play a game, especially if like you ever worked retail like I have, if you've been in one of those like back rooms in like a Target or something at night and it was a little creepy. Yeah, man, this this is so scary. It was fun though. Like it's a good time, but good Lord, is it terrifying.
Yeah, it looks really cool. That's definitely like a streamer game. I could see people like streaming this and the audience really having fun watching them, you know, freak out.
Yeah, I've seen that is actually like very, very big on the streaming scene right now. So man, cool. If only we were still doing streams, maybe we would be so big right now.
If only like, there were more time in the week.
We look too old to do streams. Like we would look like grandpas up there. Yeah, I know. You are older than me and you still look like you're in your 20s, you jerk.
You had a kid, so
I know that aged me 20 years.
We already talked about this.
We're the same age. You look 20 years younger. I look 20 years older. BS.
No, but this game does look super cool. I'm not normally like into survival horror games, but this one, it also has an action roguelike tag to it. So that, of course, stands out to me.
It is the most fun I've had with one in a long time. Like, I'm not usually that big into survival horror these days, but like, it was fun. It really was. I think what helps too is the upgrade system is actually like really good for this. So like, when you get an upgrade, you really feel it. Like, you feel the impact it makes in your gameplay.
I like that cats is a Steam tag. So like, if you just want to play a game if you want to find all the games that have cats in them, click on that tag.
Hey, it's a big thing now ever since Stray and games like that came out. You got Stray, you got Little Kitty Big City, which is a super cute, fun game. So there you go. Final round! Let's talk about upcoming games on our radar, wish list, or play calendar. I just got one that I want to bring up. This is Peppered. This comes out on April 7th. This is a platformer with where I say platformer, but there's like a lot of other stuff to it that isn't platforming. There's like shopping cart races. There's some stealth levels and things. But anyway, the big thing about this that has my interest is it is very choices matter in that you only have one chance. And I guess I wouldn't say choices matter. You only have one chance to do everything. So like if you do some sort of boss level or something, if you fail at that boss, that was the only shot you have at that boss. It doesn't end the game. It changes the story branch. So like there's no do-over or anything. They're saying like there's just a heavy amount of branching in this game. So it's just like every level you'll only experience at once, and then it'll branch to something else.
That's fascinating. And I really like that. But I hope it does not promote people like save scumming. Hopefully there's no save, like mid-game save system, really. Because
I don't know. I don't know how that'll work.
When you have to, face the consequences of your own actions in these games and see how it plays out. Like, that's the exciting part about it. Like, why would you force feed something into a game that is this open?
Yeah, the artwork of it looks really good too. Like, it looks fun. It's kind of cartoony, kind of over the top looking. And it just looks like there's so much in the game. Like, like I said originally, platformer. I think it just looks like it's mostly platformer, but there's a lot of other stuff in it too. So it just looks like a big mash of all kinds of different things jammed together. And I just love the idea of, the pressure knowing that you only have one chance to do everything. So that's cool.
I like the description where it's like past platforming challenges, explore, solve really dumb puzzles, fight bosses, make choices affecting the story. I appreciate that they're admitting that the puzzles are dumb ahead of time.
Yeah, perfect.
Seems very self-aware.
I love that.
The game I wanted to point out this week is Dice and Goblins, which comes out on the 4th, or came out on the 4th by the time you're hearing this. You play a small goblin trying to fight your way out of a dungeon. So it's a turn-based RPG where it's sort of mixing luck with strategy as you're battling using dice rolls. And on the surface, that kind of sounds simple, but I think it looks like it could get fairly complex because you're able to customize your rolls and chain combos together and things like that. So it could become like a numbers game type thing. And I'm sure you can like adjust your dice to where it will lean more towards a certain combination of things. So I'm just curious to see like how this plays out. It doesn't look like it's a roguelike per se. So I'm wondering how like it can keep this sort of mechanic moving throughout like a full story,
I like the idea of the luck, especially since you brought that Solcesto game up a couple of weeks ago. And I think that's when I ended up finding this, was when I was looking up info on Solcesto. So yeah, I like the idea of this one a lot.
And the art's really charming. It's like kind of flat papery sketch art, like almost like colored with crayon looking. It's got a very simplistic art style with 3D sort of background visuals. So I would say Paper Mario-esque if you want to think about it like that. But you're actually seeing the physical dice rolling on the table, and it's like, That's cool. the D&D set of dice, stuff like that, like all the different sort of variety, not just a D6.
Yeah, I love that. Man, I love when games get super creative in that way with the visual style of everything.
Just really leaning into it and embracing that with what could be a pretty unique like play style. So yeah, I've got my eyes on it for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of embracing, I would love to embrace you if you could do me a favor and share this episode with someone who loves indie games. As always, you can catch me playing some of the games we discussed, actually just the one about being a squirrel, over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/nerdsloth. But you can also catch hundreds of hours of bonus content for $1 a month by subscribing at our Patreon, patreon.com/nerdsloth, where we also have an exclusive podcast called the Nerdsloth Podcast for those at the $5 tier. At nerdsloth.com, you can find a link to our Discord, our merch store. You can also join our subreddit for Indie Game Arcade, where I'm posting a bunch of reviews for indie games, some which we talk about here, some of them we've never talked about here. But they're all a lot of fun. So you can also join and post your own indie game reviews so more folks can find games that suit their play style.
Game over!
But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue!
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Sloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Lime. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.